Chinese tax authorities order actress Fan Bingbing to pay taxes and fines worth nearly 900 million yuan. People line up to submit applications for the latest batch of home ownership scheme flats.
Hello, good evening. Chinese tax authorities have ordered actress Fan Bingbing to pay taxes and fines totaling nearly 900 million yuan. Fan has disappeared from public view since July. Today, the state-run Xinhua news agency said the actress will not be investigated over her criminal responsibility for tax evasion as long as the taxes and fines are paid on time. More details from Caleb Leung.
Known as one of the mainland's most famous actresses, Fan Bingbing has dropped out of public view since June amid rumors she's the target of a tax evasion investigation. Mainland state media, including the Xinhua news agency, ended months of speculations today. It reported that tax authorities launched an investigation in June after receiving reports about Fan evading taxes through contract frauds. Reportedly, Fan was found to have evaded 7.3 million yuan in taxes by using a secret contract that she signed for starring in the film Airstrike. She had instead paid taxes on a contract for only 10 million yuan. According to Xinhua, Fan and companies she represented also have tax arrears amounting to 248 million yuan. Fan was reportedly ordered by the authorities to pay around 884 million yuan in overdue taxes and fines. As this is Fan's first violation of the tax laws, she would not be held criminally accountable as long as she pays her fines and taxes on time. Xinhua's report did not indicate Fan's whereabouts, but Fan's agent is being held by the police for allegedly destroying evidence and obstructing the investigation. Fan later issued an apology on her official account on social media. She accepted the authorities' decision and said she would try her best to pay back the taxes and the fines. Fan also said she felt ashamed and guilty. "I'm unworthy of the trust of the society," she said in her apology. Fan is best known internationally for her role as Blink in 2014's X-Men Days of Future Past and a cameo in the Chinese version of Iron Man 3. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
Well, government probes into Fan Bingbing's financial dealings began shortly after she was accused by state media of using yin-yang contracts to lighten her tax burden. Sharon Tang has that story.
In Chinese philosophy, yin and yang represents the dark and bright sides to life and how the two contrary forces complement each other. In contractual terms, best known among the film industry, the yin contract sets out an actor's real earnings. On the other hand, the yang contract, which is submitted to the tax authorities, details a lower figure. Although state news agency Xinhua and Fan Bingbing herself did not explicitly raise the issue of yin-yang contracts in her apology letter, Chinese media had alleged that the actress underreported her income from blockbuster films. The practice is also something that is not confined to the film industry. A cinema studies expert says the trend is caused by productions overpaying leading actors and actresses on the mainland.
When you look at the structure of the entire production budget, sometimes the money that's paid to the stars actually exceeds 40-50% of the total budget.
She added that's made it difficult for them to pay their taxes, thus triggering the use of yin-yang contracts. The targeting of Fan was also seen as a warning, with authorities launching an effort to recover back taxes from others in the entertainment industry. Today, the Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission noted such a wrongful money-worshipping act could for once go wild in the dark, but it shall not live when it meets the light. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
On to some other news now, and the death toll from last Friday's devastating earthquake and tsunami in the Indonesian island of Sulawesi has risen to more than 1,400. Aid workers warned of the increasing desperation in hard-hit outlying areas that have yet to get any help at all. Adding to the difficulty of the rescue operations, a volcano erupted on the same island this morning. Alan Buckner reports.
Underlining the sense of urgency, Indonesian President Joko Widodo made his second visit to the disaster zone today. He noted that heavy equipment and logistics had started to arrive since his initial visit Sunday, although fuel is still in short supply. When asked about when they can expect electricity back, he couldn't answer, saying it's all part of a process. He visited the collapsed Roa Roa Hotel in the city of Palu, where rescue operations continue. About 50 people are believed to have been in the 8-story building when it came down. Only 3 people have been pulled out alive and 9 bodies recovered. But 5 days after the disaster struck, time is running out for anyone trapped under the rubble. Officials fear the death toll could soar, since most of the confirmed dead are from Palu. The neighboring town of Sigi has yet to receive any aid because the roads to it have been impassable. Residents say they are in urgent need of food, clean water, medical teams, and tents. They're also asking for search and rescue teams because of the number of collapsed buildings and dead bodies.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is heading back to North Korea for another round of talks aimed at getting leader Kim Jong-un to give up his nuclear weapons. State Department spokesman Heather Nauert said Pompeo will be in Pyongyang on October the 7th. He'll first visit Japan before going to North Korea. After his talks in Pyongyang, he'll also visit South Korea and China. Pompeo's 4th trip to North Korea this year comes ahead of another planned summit between Kim Jong-un and President Trump. At their first summit in Singapore back in June, the two leaders agreed to denuclearization of the Korean peninsula, only in vague terms.
US authorities are investigating 2 envelopes suspected of containing poison. The letters were intercepted at a Pentagon mail screening facility. It's suspected they contain ricin, a poison made from castor beans. They were addressed to Defense Secretary Jim Mattis and the Navy's top officer, Admiral John Richardson. They were turned over to the FBI for analysis. Neither letter actually entered the Pentagon. Separately, the Secret Service confirmed a suspicious envelope was sent to the President Monday, but did not make it to the White House. The agency didn't disclose any further details.
Staying in the United States, and US President Trump used a campaign rally to mock the woman who was accused Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of trying to rape her more than 30 years ago. Trump was looking to use the issue to rally his base ahead of the congressional elections in November.
US President Donald Trump was on the warpath in Mississippi, igniting a crowd at a campaign rally by mocking a woman who has claimed she was sexually assaulted by Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh decades ago. The audience laughed as Trump ran through a list of what he described as holes in Christine Blasey Ford's testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee last week.
So many different charges. Guilty until proven innocent. That's very dangerous for our country. That's very dangerous for our country. And a man's life is in tatters. A man's life is shattered. His wife is shattered. His daughters, who are beautiful, incredible young kids. They destroy people. They want to destroy people.
It marked the sharpest criticism by Trump of Ford since she came forward publicly with the allegation last month. He had previously called Ford, now a psychology professor, a very credible witness. Ford's lawyer called Trump's attack vicious, vile and soulless. The president was in Mississippi looking to use his influence to sway the outcome of a Senate election that could tip the balance of America's upper house. Meanwhile, back in Washington, there are concerns the FBI is not conducting a thorough enough investigation into the allegations against Kavanaugh. Both Republicans and Democrats want to wait until the investigation is complete before commenting on whether the FBI had done its job.
I have had a conversation with Mr. McGahn about the extent of what the FBI is doing, and what I have been assured is that they are conducting this background investigation as they do all background investigations.
I'm glad that the FBI investigation is going forward, and I think that the investigation will show some inconsistencies with how Judge Kavanaugh testified before our committee.
The White House has given the FBI until Friday to provide the results of the week-long probe into the allegations against Kavanaugh.
Well, British Prime Minister Theresa May is telling her Conservative Party that the impending divorce from the European Union is an opportunity that opens up a future of promise for the UK. May will be under pressure to sound convincing in her speech today after her Brexit strategy was sharply criticised yesterday by her former Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson.
If we get it wrong, if we bottle Brexit now, believe me, the people of this country will find it hard to forgive. If we get it wrong now and we proceed with this undemocratic solution, if we remain half in, half out, we will protract this toxic, tedious business that is frankly so off-putting to sensible middle-of-the-road people who want us to stop talking about Europe and get on with their domestic priorities.
Well, there are one or two things that Boris said that I am cross about. He wanted to tear up our guarantee to the people of Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom. You know, we are all, he and I, all members here are members of the Conservative and Unionist Party. That's because we believe in the union of the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland is part of that union.
Catalan Regional President Quim Torra has issued an ultimatum to Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez over the region's future. It was promptly rejected by the Spanish government. Torra indicated he could deny Sánchez the votes he needs to approve the national budget in Spain's parliament unless the government proposes by next month an independence referendum in Catalonia. Failure to get a budget passed could spell the end of Sánchez's administration and bring a snap election. Torra said in a speech in Barcelona that Catalan separatist parties won't back Sánchez in parliament if their demand for a vote on self-determination is not met.
Staying in Europe, and French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe has assumed responsibility for France's domestic security after the Interior Minister resigned in an apparent act of defiance towards President Emmanuel Macron. The former French Interior Minister, Gérard Collomb, said yesterday that he wanted to step down, despite Macron having rejected his resignation less than 24 hours earlier. Collomb told the Le Figaro newspaper that he wanted to resign so he could run for election as mayor of his hometown of Lyon. Still, Collomb's move is seen as an unprecedented challenge to Macron's authority.
And still ahead tonight. Customs detector dogs help identify arriving travellers who carry over $120,000 worth of cash without making a declaration. KMB unveils a new generation of solar-powered generation system for its buses. And 2 Americans and a Briton won this year's Nobel Prize for Chemistry.
Welcome to our lounge. Enjoy your stay.
Thanks very much.
Find calm in over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. It's another way we've got your back. The Platinum Card from American Express. Don't live life without it.
Welcome back to TVB News. Travellers are now required to declare large sums of money in their possession when entering the city, as Haley Joe shows us customs officers have help in catching those trying to bypass the new rule.
In this demonstration, Maggie detects a large sum of cash in this woman's suitcase. Maggie is a sniffer dog working with customs officers at immigration checkpoints in an effort to prevent dirty money from entering the city. Hong Kong also has a new law on the books which requires passengers carrying $120,000 or more in cash or traveler's checks to declare the amount in their possession.
For the first-time offender, they can pay 2,000 Hong Kong dollars to discharge their criminal liability. But if he is a repeated offender, then the case will be brought to the court, and the maximum penalty is 500,000 Hong Kong dollars and imprisonment of 2 years.
The law is enforced at more than a dozen immigration checkpoints in the city. Money in checked baggage also counts. The Customs and Excise Department said the dogs received special training to carry out this assignment.
The performance, as just mentioned, it's no question, because in the first day of being on duty at the control point, it is a proven fact that Maggie has already sniped out passenger with over 120,000 Hong Kong dollars.
Cash detector dogs are only trained to detect a special ink used to print bills, so they're not able to detect other non-cash instruments. Officials said customs officers will check for non-cash instruments such as travelers' checks and money orders. The law went into effect on July 16th. Passengers were given a 3-month grace period, with offenders receiving written warnings. Haley Zhou, TVB News.
2,400 applications for the latest batch of home ownership scheme flats were collected today. Aspiring buyers can still submit applications to the Housing Authority for the flats at 3 housing estates until the 16th of the month. Kaina Chu has more.
How difficult is it to purchase a flat in Hong Kong? This lawmaker says people may have to go as far as not spending a single dime for more than a decade. Here's why.
As the price of the flat doubled up in the last 2 years, so the cost to pay the deposit also doubled up. But however, the average salary only increased from 15,000 to 18,000, only 20%.
That's only when you purchase via the private market. This morning, many citizens were at the Housing Authority's Lok Fu Customer Service Center. They were there to submit applications for more than 4,400 flats offered at 3 home ownership scheme estates: Kai Lok Court in Kai Tak, Ha Lok Court in Cheung Sha Wan, and Yu Tai Court in Tung Chung. Under the government's new housing initiative, the flats are sold at roughly 52% of the market price. The price is roughly $1.18 million to $4.68 million per unit. Even with the discount, this home buyer finds the flats difficult to afford. This lady is submitting an application on her son's behalf. She lamented at the affordability of the flats but still wanted to try her luck on a unit. The Housing Authority began accepting applications for the 3 estates at the beginning of the year. Some 15,000 applications submitted previously will remain valid. This flat ballot is set to take place next month after applications close on the 16th this month. Successful applicants can pick their flats in February next year. They cannot resell their flats on the market within the first 5 years. Kaina Chu, TVB News.
Police arrested 10 people on suspicion of credit card theft. Police believe they have busted a syndicate which was involved in dozens of credit card theft cases. Cards were stolen at places such as cafes and were used to buy products including electronic goods, luxury watches and handbags valued at $4.1 million. The syndicate also used stolen ID cards to apply for loans totaling $3.65 million. The Kowloon Motor Bus Company has developed a second-generation solar power generation system for its double-deckers. An aluminium platform has been installed on the roof of the double-decker. That's to support an increased number of solar panels. The system aims to provide ventilation and air conditioning to the bus even when its engine is turned off. Currently, there is only 1 bus equipped with the new system. KMB says authorities have passed the system and newly bought buses equipped with it are expected to enter service in the second half of next year.
2 Americans and a Briton have won this year's Nobel Prize for Chemistry. Americans Francis H. Arnold and George P. Smith and Gregory P. Winter of Britain were honoured for their work in evolutionary science. The Royal Swedish Academy said the trio managed to harness the power of evolution. They applied the principles of Darwin in test tubes, genetic change and selection. They developed novel proteins used in everything from environmentally friendly detergents and biofuels to cancer drugs. The 3 will share the $1 million prize. That's all from the team for now.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.